Hello, everybody, and welcome in to a new look. We got a whole new look to us today. We begin our 19th season now with Trae Rahill, CEO of the Oklahoma Employment Security Commission. Good to have you here.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
I hear a lot about you. I'm just glad to see that there really is one.
Yeah, don't believe those things.
There's so many angles to start from here because most people used to think of the employment security group as, well, I need a job, that's where I'll go.
Sure.
They don't realize they can just go in the den, sit down at the computer and look it over. You've got so much going on. Can we start with OK Works?
Yeah, sure.
Tell us about it.
So Oklahoma Works is the sign that people see over our offices across the state. And Oklahoma Works is a brand that represents 3 state agencies that work together in partnership to provide employment services to folks and to employers. And so it's the Oklahoma Employment Security Commission, the Department of Rehabilitation Services, and the Oklahoma Career Tech System together make up that partnership that is Oklahoma Works.
So then to think about just a place to go to find a job, period, is wrong.
Correct.
It also includes training, does it not?
Yes, sir. There are several services. We do a number of services for individuals that are, claimants for unemployment or looking for a position, job seekers. And then we have a lot of services for employers. And we also do services for some targeted populations that are a little bit varied on those two. One of them is training through the Career Tech System, and even some training outside of Career Tech. And we also do a lot of services for veterans through our agency.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Are the people adjusting to the growth and expansion of OK Works or Oklahoma Works?
I think so. I hope so, because we have a lot more of it to do, quite frankly. We have 27 offices across the state, and beginning last year, we opened some outreach locations, basically, where we'll take existing staff and send them on the road with a laptop, and they go to libraries or employer places of service, and they'll go and help people from those places, trying to meet people where they are. And so we have 19 of those happening now across the state, too, where they're just a couple days a week leaving the office and going someplace else. So from an expansion standpoint, those are our physical places of service, but certainly they can call, they can go online, they can kind of get to us any way that they want to anymore.
I don't want to make this political, but, and I'm going to stand by that.
Okay.
Are you confident that Oklahoma City supports your efforts on this end of the state?
Yeah, so we're federally funded is probably the first thing to point out. OESC is completely federally funded. We don't receive a state appropriation. So
do they know that?
They do know that. And so the support we get comes in various forms, and funding isn't one of them. But they do fund, the state does fund things that are ancillary to our work, and we do have a lot of close working relationships with our legislature to examine parts of our business that we need to update or modernize. So we get a lot of support from the state and from the various towns where we have offices just on the things that we need to work on, or things that we're trying to update for the sake of serving employers in this day and age. So yeah, I'd say we get a lot of support.
How many job centers do you have on this side of the state?
We have 27 total. I'm thinking that we probably have 15 or so on this side of the state. It's a little bit more sparse on the western side. So we're probably 15 or 16 kind of over here on the eastern side, east of
You need
Oklahoma
more?
City. That's an interesting question. I think if we looked at our offices being the only places we rendered service, a case could be made for saying that there should be one of these offices in every town across the state for the sake of helping those employers or those people looking for work in those areas. But if we're leveraging all of the institutions that should be partners in the workforce delivery system, I think we'd find ourselves getting a little more innovative about using some of these other places to do similar work as like an extended capacity or, a new front door to the system. So I don't think right now we would look at opening any additional. We would focus a lot more on more seamless partnerships so that you can kind of get it closer to home if you needed to.
A lot of folks don't understand that while your agency has grown over the years, you've also taken on additional responsibilities.
Yes, sir.
The training alone just staggers the imagination. And those that aren't really aware of it can go, to oklahomaworks.gov, or what's the address on the website?
Yeah, so there's, you can go to oklahoma.gov/workforce, and that'll take you to our website. Something to mention is while our training capacity has grown as a result of some groups that previously were established inside other agencies moving up under OESC, we have grown in that sense, but historically the agency is much smaller than it was in the height of the pandemic and several years prior to the pandemic. We at one point had, I think, 1,400 employees at the agency. Now we're under 500.
Do you need them back?
Certainly not that many of them, no sir. Otherwise, we're not leveraging our resources real well, in my opinion.
There is an old adage, and I don't know who came up with it, that not every kid needs to go to college.
Sure.
Not every kid wants to go to college.
Sure.
We need people who do all kinds of, and they have to have all kinds of talents.
Right.
To find jobs, to find work. Is the training available for most of these jobs through your agency?
For
yes
example,
and no. If a guy wants to be a framer, can he lock into training for framers or welders?
The goal is that people would be able to come to us and have a warm handoff to the organization where they'd be able to get that training resource. We do administer a specific grant program that focuses on funding training for people. So the short answer would be yes, but a lot of those needs are facilitated by us, where they may actually go to Career Tech or another community institution to receive the training itself. We don't host or provide the training ourselves. We kind of play a facilitation role in some of those technical needs.
So you know where to plug them in.
Yes, sir.
I understand you've had some incredible progress, though, at the industrial park, have you not?
Yes, sir. That has been expanding like crazy. It's really good to see. You're talking about out in Pryor, Mid-America.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I think they're doing a phenomenal job out there. They're continuing to attract new businesses to establish operations there, and that comes with obviously a staffing component. So usually our office there in Pryor is working closely with Mid-America's leadership to make sure that we understand what their needs are and can have the folks we have under case management plugged in appropriately based on what skill sets they have.
Well, I know there are times when the young ones coming out let's say 2 years of junior college, and they say, okay, now what am I going to do when I grow up?
Yep.
I remember those days. I remember thinking, what in the world is out there? Where do I go from here? And your folks are saying, when are you going to get a job?
Yeah. I was going to say, have you figured it out yet, what you want to be when you grow up?
Exactly.
I'm still figuring it out.
Here you are, 35, still living at home. But, the young ones today have a whole different set of problems facing them now than before you were born.
Yes, sir.
And, they've hit the ground going, eek, hold it.
Yep.
I don't know which way to turn.
Yeah, one interesting complexity in that situation is, you mentioned before we got started, how long have you been doing this line of work?
Well, you remember Marconi? Over 50 years.
So in your generation, there was an expectation set for how many jobs people would have over their lifetime, and it was a small number. What the expectation is for young people now coming out of school is drastically different. I've heard at one point in time, it's probably 2 jobs for your whole life.
Really?
2-3 generations later, it's in the 30s and 40s of how many jobs someone might hold in their lifetime. So I think the expectation of young people has changed to be they're going to bounce around for a while until they find something. And if our state institutions don't suss out what they'd be really good at, what they might be really passionate about while they're still in school, then I think that's the track that we set them on, is a ping pong kind of thing.
Well, I got to tell you, you guys are doing, in my opinion, a terrific job.
Thank you.
And it's very good to know that there's a website they can go to. In fact, any age can go to that website.
Yes, sir.
And get a sense of direction, where to go, who to talk to.
Yep. Because a lot of people end up wanting to change jobs, change careers completely.
Yeah.
And so my philosophy on this has been, and I've learned a lot of this from working in this space, but the state should have as many pathways as possible that are at people's disposal. You know, if I really like these things, or I'm really good at these things, I would have some awareness of what types of jobs and what types of industries that these things might equip me for.
Sure.
And you have to have a lot of off-ramps and on-ramps, because someone might change their mind. They might get into working for a few years and say, I don't like this at all. Still learning. It could be negative learning, you know, but they want to do something else. I think we've got to get away from the traditional approach of, oh, you're not good at math, well, you can't be any of this stuff when you grow up. I think it has to be a little bit more responsive to what we see in people, and that is going to have a lot more variability in what people have access to. So the institution's kind of learning along with people and developing them for many different paths, because they might come to need them. They might come to change.
Trae, I want to thank you for coming in.
My pleasure.
It's good to put a face with an organization, and yours is doing a heck of a job.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate this.
Really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
We're going to take a short break. We'll be back and do some more damage right after this.